Aloha. Today I wanted to comment on a video, and also kind of jump off of the last video that I did in regards to how the flat earth and Mandela effect are being played, and these magicians that are out there. And this is like a step out for me to comment on Noam Chomsky, but because I've listened to Noam before, but there was something that like really clicked with me that really didn't fit well the last time when I listened to this video last night, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta do something. I gotta say something about this, because I've always felt that, Noam Chomsky his perspectives were right on point in some kind of way. And then in these last like 6 months, I just like fell further and further off of his whatever stream of thought that he was coming from, and I started to feel like bogged down. Like the way he speaks, you'll hear in a second, the way he speaks, I refer to it as like a soft fear, because there's like a hard fear that's being sold with like the New World Order and like the Alex Jones, the wake up everybody, you gotta get that whole like emotional tether. And the television does that with the commercials that go up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like playing your flicker rate moments. Like you'll see a commercial, like somebody was watching MTV the other day, and I walked in on it, and then they're like seeing the commercials, and you can see that the commercials are about sex, food, and chocolate. Yeah, so they're playing with your lower chakras, and buying stuff, and sexuality, like beauty. That's what it was: sex, food, and beauty. And whatever the beauty was always centered around white women or white culture, whatever that is, on the television. And but the music or the voices are all like black voices or black music. And so I don't like using the terms white and black, but for example purposes, that's basically what it's boiling down to as far as the on and off flicker rate moments. It's like use this energy the way it's best for control or conditioning or manipulation. Kind of like this music it's the drum, it goes straight to the beat of your heart. And Noam Chomsky has like a drum in his voice, and it's kind of like listening to a bedtime story. It's like, oh, global warming and all this, It gets you in this droll of complacency, and just like believing he's straight up like a university system representative. Like I used to think that he was outside of whatever a while ago, and I could have made a video a while ago on Noam Chomsky, because I felt it a while ago, but I didn't feel it the way, or it didn't. I guess it didn't really fit my video stream until recently, and I didn't feel comfortable with speaking on the topic until recently, because now it fits perfectly with a topic that I missed from the last video, which was global warming. The whole global agenda with the New World Order and everything is being played on every angle, from the soft side to the hard side, and it's being manipulated to get you caught in the middle. So you have these soft sort of grandparents who are telling you bedtime stories that are anchored in fear and intellectual hopelessness, and they get you in this like sort of subtle vibration of complacency and obedience and trust in whatever the agenda is. And then you have the opposition, like I was saying yesterday about the villain and the hero. You have the opposition, or the other team members, like Alex Jones, all these so-called people for change. But you have to see like what their limitations are, what their ceilings are. Like Alex Jones is out here yelling and talking about all this, but when you really boil everything down, he's stuck in a fear program. As much as he's talking about this and that, it's complicated. But I wanted to show the other side. The point is, it doesn't empower people. Like, it doesn't get people to find their own strength and their own will and their own connection to how they could do something about whatever's going on. It's more about like output information of just droll, like get this, be scared, and then take whatever comes down. Like, Noam Chomsky is not gonna be out there talking or doing anything on a extremely large scale. On any, I mean, he's in the university. He's at like MIT, and he's got his stuff together. He's in the university. He's a master of that universe, and they use these voices, these soft leaders, and these hard, like soft, these spiky and mushy, like Alan Watts says, the spiky people and the mushy people. And then we get caught up in between, figuring out what our universe is based upon what somebody else said. So the global warming fits in. I'll just play it right now so you can listen to how it's being sold.
Whether he means what he's saying. I don't know. No, I assume that he means what he's saying. If he does, not only we, but the human species is in very deep trouble. I'll come back again to global warming. That is a hugely significant phenomenon. I mean, we're now in a situation where the warming of the planet is proceeding at a level about maybe 100, some claim 1,000 times as high as anything in history that can be checked, way back in early, long pre-human history. Nothing remotely like it. Sea level rise is now at a level beyond anything that's gone on for thousands of years. The effects of global warming are already extremely severe. Simply in destruction of species. Species destruction now is at the level of 65 million years ago, when a huge asteroid hit the Earth, ended the age of the dinosaurs. Huge destruction of species.
Like
that's what's happening right now, and it's accelerating. At the latitude where you and I live, roughly this temperate latitude, we are now moving south 10 meters a day just by the average effect of global warming, and that's going to accelerate. These are things with really lethal consequences. Now, what is the Republican Party doing? Trump in particular.
So, yeah, you can hear how everything gets lumped into this, like, this subtle, fear-driven propaganda bedtime story. And he has that sort of slow and grandparent-like tone that just gets you to just fall right asleep and just trust and be afraid and trust. And it was something about it in the past where I was like, I don't know, it just got me. But this video was the kicker, and I had to reference it. Not saying that Noam Chomsky's involved in it. I'm not really ever saying anything about like that kind of stuff. I don't really give a shit who is doing what and all that other nonsense, because ultimately it's up to everybody to empower themselves and start doing what needs to be done internally, like the internal struggle. Like all this stuff is an external struggle that is trying to be fixed with external, or trying to be, at the same time they say being fit, trying to be fixed, but trying to be extended with external measures. And ultimately, over all these movements, all these so-called changes over the years, nobody is referencing the internal struggle that is going on with the spiritual battle that is actually beforehand, is before the manifestation of the physical external stuff that's going on. And once we flip that script, because it's all in the deeper layers of the patriarchal programming, it's all outside of us. The inside is the magic, the divine feminine, the balancing of the art, the left and the right brains, the seeing how we are creating this reality. It's like the Mandela effect. Like, it's hard for people to reference or see the Mandela effect when we're so like straight line oriented and understanding like our reality from an external space. Just like, oh yeah, like, well, what is this? Like, what does that mean? Like, well, what do you mean it changed? You know, that whole like space. And then the flat earth is another thing. It's like, well, what is that? Like, what is a planet? What is a star? What? And even like my family like was like, oh, I've seen the curve before. Like really? Like, it's just these university magicians like Noam Chomsky who get out there and sell that subtle deep programming, and then we just kind of we get it locked in from our subconscious, and then transfer it or interpret it into our consciousness. And people like Edward Snowden, and you can see that video linked on here. Edward Snowden and Bernie Sanders, these are all like sub-level storylines that are being sold for you to anchor more and more into the plot that's being played on the external versions of things. It's like, focus on the villain. Focus on the villain. See what's wrong. See how bad things are. And like Snowden sells it with fear. They use him as fear. They talk about him a little bit. They don't talk about him. They talk about his stuff all the time. They release stuff here and there. It's all fear propaganda. It's being leaked here and there, and then you're just soaking it up. And then the bigger picture is that you're inherently giving your power away to a bigger picture that is still just a smaller picture in reference to the biggest picture, which is the internal strength of the entire human perspective, the entire human experience. They want to keep it balled up and centered in this little global dot of experience, and kind of get people fighting amongst each other in that patriarchal space. And then so when everybody gets unified in that, then you can take down the villain or bring out the hero, whatever card that's going to be played. So you have these information releasers like Stephen Greer and that whole disclosure movement with the alien disclosure. That's one way to get locked in. Then you got Edward Snowden with like the FBI, CIA stuff, and like he's removed from the system because he's saying too much. Like, he's got too much information. Like this one guy. You got Donald Trump, who's doing the same thing, and he's like the clock. Donald Trump is like the villain clock, where they're like, hey, if we don't do anything about this, he's going to be president or somebody. Ultimately, all the presidents are already a Donald Trump. They're already the same thing. They just ain't been saying this stuff. He's just been saying it. And he has to say it because he's trying to rally his troops, and they're trying to test the grounds and see how far they can go with whatever storyline they got going. Because there's not just one storyline when you're talking about the entire world. They got multiple levels of storylines that are ultimately adjusted and affected by our own conscious engagement and non-engagement. So if we don't engage within ourselves, then we'll be subject to whatever kind of engagements get multiplied out in the straight line reality, in the straight line storyline. And all these storylines are being hit here and there with like Noam Chomsky and the global warming scene, and then people who are not who don't believe in global warming or the global design, then they're like a bad guy already. Like, oh, what? I can see it. I know it's getting warm. Noam Chomsky said that our continents are moving such and such, and it's very dangerous. And how could you not? It's don't you see, like, the ice is melting? Don't you, like, all these like these little details are being pumped out by the university system. Like they're already the credibility is already in the dumps when you unravel like the moon landing hoax and NASA and all that bullshit. Like once you do that, then you start to unravel the university system and dinosaurs. And he mentioned that dinosaurs and evolution and global warming all in this one little 2 minutes that I played in this video. What else has Noam Chomsky been talking about, like outside of, this one little 2 minute, flicker of a interview, and see how much other stuff has been sold right under our noses. So I wanted to just make this a quick video and lock in the Noam Chomsky global warming information thread into the whole global agenda, because I don't think I referenced it as far as like what one of the steps might or has already been taken in reference to that move. So I'll leave it there, and thanks for joining me. Until next time, peace, love, and harmony.